Hello there and welcome to Ancient Theories channel. Hey, in one of my videos I told you about the translation of the introduction of the oldest Babylonian world map. According to the author of the map, well, long story short, after some cataclysmic reduction in population, some lucky fellows survived, and among them was Anzu Bird. What is Anzu Bird? A divine storm bird and the personification of the southern wind and the thunder clouds. It looked like a falcon or eagle with a demonic face with horns, and some translations tell us it breathed fire, or at least conjured thunders. Nevertheless, let's move on to the Maori people. Yes, those Maori people from New Zealand. Those guys settled here in 1320 AD, which is long after the fall of the Akkadian Empire, Babylon, near Babylon, and even after the Roman and Byzantine empires, and that is for sure a long gap between those two cultures. Okay, why we are talking about them, or at least why I am talking about them? Because those people tell us a funny story. Once upon a time there was a bird, a huge flightless bird living on their main island, called now New Zealand. And the Maori people hunted those birds because there was more than one single bird, and well, a man has to eat, right? That bird is called the moa bird and had 3.5 meters in height, weighing more than 200 kilograms. But conveniently, all of those went extinct in less than 100 years from Maori people's accommodation, which is 6 centuries ago from now, and that is more than a mere 12 years ago. But hey, that story happens to be true. We found bones, skeletons, remnants of their eggs. You can even admire its skeletons in some museums. What's even more bizarre is that we have a tissue of those birds. There is a particular piece, a very well-preserved foot, and yes, one potentially can extract its DNA from it. And you know what? There was more than one type of moa bird, there were at least 4 types. The biggest one was huge, but there was also one smaller one, called literally lesser moa or bush moa. However, it has nothing to do with the President Bush family. And the East moa, which was half of the giant moa in size. And the South Island giant moa, which wasn't higher than the big moa, but it was robust, so robust that males could weigh something like 250 kilograms. A lot of moas. What's interesting is that the story was true. There were huge birds there. And were they the Anzu birds? Definitely no. It was a flightless bird, and it used to eat plants, only plants. And the Anzu bird was definitely a meat lover, and definitely could fly. Then why on earth are we talking about them in a video about the Anzu bird? You see, those Maori people have another story. A story about the pukai, a monster bird from their mythology. A meat-eating huge bird which could abduct a child into the air and then eat it. Did this actually happen? Did this pukai or hakawai bird eat children? I don't know. According to an account given to Sir George Grey, an early governor of New Zealand, hakawai were huge black and white predators with a red crest and yellow-green tinged wingtips. Given to, not said by Sir Grey. But is that story also true? Was this bird real? Yes, it was. And it used to hunt for moa meat. But then there was no more moa meat on the menu because Maori people overhunt them. And a bird has to eat, right? So those birds were starving and needed a new source of meat. Maybe some big animals which could be easily spotted and hunted from the air. And there were a lot of Maori people in the same spots where earlier moa lived. Then yes, it's even unwise to think that those pukai birds didn't hunt humans, or at least human children. So, what was that monster bird? Well, in fact we call it Haast's eagle, which went extinct 100 years later than the moa bird. Guess why? Mostly because of angry Maori parents with torches and famine. We estimate based on their skeletons that the male's weight was about 9 to 12 kilograms, which is a lot, but still, that's just about the maximum size of the harpy eagle. You see, in some species the males are the smaller ones. The Haast's eagle females are estimated to weigh more than 10 kilograms, up to 18 kilograms, and that is a lot. A 3 or 4-year-old child weighs that. It is estimated that the grown female typically spanned up to 3 meters, and the Maori people tell us that hearing this beast flapping its wings was a sound similar to a coming storm. The legends appear to be true, or at least based on true events, but those legends are less than 600 years. Is it possible that this is the bird from ancient Mesopotamia, the Anzu bird? It flies. Check. It is a big one. Check. It eats meat. Check. We have records stating it could hunt and eat people, or at least children. Check. It hunted huge animals like moa birds. Check. It doesn't breathe fire, but Maori people tell us that the sound of flying by Pokai sounds like a coming storm. The thunderbird, the storm bird, seems about right. Check. And it used to live in mountains, or at the top of mountains, which we know is the same habit of the Anzu bird. Lugobanda even finds a nestling in the mountains, but we don't know what mountains. It was thousands of years ago, so who knows? And that eagle survived the flood or the reduction event. But after that in Mesopotamia, there were only offspring of those birds or survivors of the event. So, is it possible that the Anzu bird is the Haast's eagle? I don't think so. Don't get me wrong, all the described features check, but those eagles are from New Zealand, and those are uncommon even in Australia. We have similar stories about huge birds eating meat or hunting elephants or deer in India, Arabia and Malaysia. It wasn't necessarily the same bird all over the place. I am willing to admit that in times of megafauna, before the Younger Dryas event, there were more huge eagles than the Haast's eagle, and even if we do not know what exactly their diameters are, those birds could be cousins to the Haast's eagles. And maybe there are a few remnants of those birds somewhere in Arabia, where people called them rock or rock bird, or in Persia, today's Anatolia in Turkey, or in India. There is also a fossil from those times from Madagascar of another huge eagle. Maybe not bigger than the Haast's eagle, but still a huge one. Madagascar crowned hawk eagle, which went extinct about the same time as the Haast's eagles. It always happens that when a myth becomes a true story, it loses all of its fragrance, its magic is gone, and for some, it is just a boring story now. We still don't know what exactly was the Anzu bird, but it probably was an eagle, a huge one for sure, but still, nothing crazy. However, if you think it's boring now, think twice. The Anzu bird did survive the reduction or flood or whatever it was, but the great serpent and the scorpion man also did, at least according to the Imago Mundi or other ancient Sumerian and Akkadian texts. And what are those is a marvelous enigma. By the way, do you know that we actually know that a truly huge bird once lived here on Earth? I'm talking about Argentavis, however. It lived in the late Miocene roughly 6 million years ago, and it was a bird, not a dinosaur. Some not so accurate estimations tell us that it had a wingspan of 8 meters, but it would be more realistic to don't state more than 6 meters. It had a height of an adult man, roughly 180 centimeters, and about 70 kilograms of mass. What a beast. And yes, it was a predator, or more accurately I should state it probably was a predator, because we are not sure, but their features tell us that it definitely could be a predator. Could it be our Anzu bird? The one of those who survived the flood and brought offspring to our world? Or maybe it was Haast's eagle? Or is it its brother or sister? What's truly odd is the fact that on all art depictions of the Anzu bird in close, it's the same size as an adult man. You can say that is just for composition or style, or even that it's in the size of a god, not a man, but after all, Argentavis happens to be just in the right size. I'm not saying that the Anzu bird is the Argentavis, that would be insane. But what about its offspring? Late offspring, maybe changed a bit because after all, evolution is a process. You can say that evolution doesn't resolve all the problems here, especially with humans, but the process is real, and maybe that bird's grandchildren moved from Argentina because it lived there to Eurasia and lived there till the reduction or flood event happened. And now the fresh remnants are washed out, and the old fossils are still in the same place where they were. That truly is a theory. It may not be a great one, but let's put it on the pile of other theories without evidence. Nevertheless, it gives us a purpose, a target, a thing to search for, and a goofy monster in role-playing games, Because after all, why not? Till we meet again.